outstanding issues prior to entering the terminal count. At the request of our customer, today's live mission coverage will conclude following confirmation of payload fairing jettison, which is scheduled to occur about 3 minutes after liftoff.
FTS. At this time, we have a go for the special FTS arm-enabled power relay cycles 4 times.
Copy. LP, RLM, that one.
Go.
Red line monitor is ready again.
Roger.
We recently received a final briefing from Captain Ross Malagany, the 30th Space Wing's weather officer. The weather is within the launch commit criteria for today's liftoff. Let's take a look at the numbers. The probability of violating launch constraints is 20%, the ground winds are 10 knots out of the north, and the temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. So the weather looks favorable, and we are proceeding towards liftoff with a planned T0 of 1:55 p.m. Pacific. This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. While the team continues final preps, let's take a look at a preview of today's flight.
The following profile details the important events of this mission using approximate times.
We have ignition and we have liftoff of the Electric Line.
The Delta IV RS-68A main engine and 2 strap-on solid rocket motors ignite to lift the vehicle away from the pad. Shortly after liftoff, Delta IV begins its initial pitch and yaw maneuvers to attain the proper ascent profile and minimize aerodynamic loads. Delta IV reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound, at 49 seconds. At 55 seconds, the vehicle reaches maximum dynamic pressure. The strap-on solid rocket motors, or SRMs, are jettisoned 100 seconds into flight. More than 70 miles in altitude, 63 miles downrange, and traveling at a speed of more than 5,400 miles per hour. The payload fairing is jettisoned at approximately 3 minutes, 10 seconds.
ULA is using a Delta IV Medium Plus 5.2 configuration rocket to launch the NROL-47 mission. This is the 36th Delta IV launch since the inaugural flight in 2002 and the 3rd flight of the 5.2 configuration. Built in Decatur, Alabama, the Delta IV Medium Plus 5.2 rocket includes a common booster core powered by an Aerojet Rocketdyne RS-68A engine and 2 orbital ATK solid rocket motors. An Aerojet Rocketdyne RL-10B2 engine powers the Delta cryogenic second stage. The payload is protected during ascent by a 5-meter diameter payload fairing. On December 11th, the encapsulated payload fairing was transported to Space Launch Complex 6 and mated to the Delta IV rocket. On January 6th, the mobile assembly shelter was rolled to its launch position. It protects the Delta IV rocket from the wind and fog so common to its location here on California's Pacific coast. At approximately 5 a.m. today, the MST, or Mobile Service Tower, was rolled back, revealing the Delta IV rocket. Using 40 hydraulic cylinders at pressures nearing 3,500 psi, the 10 million pound MST is raised 8 inches to begin the move. Using a carriage transporter system traveling at about a quarter mile per hour, it takes about 25 minutes to roll the MST 300 feet east of the Delta IV rocket. The Delta IV rocket stands 220 feet tall, or about 22 stories, and weighs just over 750,000 pounds fully fueled. The Delta IV RS-68A main engine and 2 solid rocket motors produce more than 1 million pounds of thrust at liftoff.
LC, go.
Second stage release. Copy. 30.
Roger.
LC SOS.
Go SYS.
Source selector locked on RF and range sources.
Roger.
T-minus 7 minutes.
This is Delta Mission Control. We have a new T0 of 2:05 Pacific Time. We'll keep you updated if it changes.
T-minus 6 minutes.
LC flight control. Go flight control. L3 primary steering file, adjust underscore Delta Victor 380 underscore 05 dot Tango Hotel X-ray with SDL CRC 11 Foxtrot 0 has been verified and loaded into Inca. Roger. PL2 performs second stage LS2 pulling drain valve cycle test.
Roger.
LC, RC, net 1. Go. Range is approved, new T0 of 220500 Zulu. Roger.
LC, this is DCS.
Go.
Just want to say that for off 50, step 260, DDC center body and engine section, DCS June through 10 has reached set point.
Roger.
T-minus 4 minutes in holding. This is a 10-minute built-in hold.
LC switch not ready position. ALC adjust T0 to 22:05:00 Zulu. Didn't work. LC. Go. Sequencer has been set for new T0 of 22:05:00. Roger. And all personnel clocks have been reset. We are currently just under L minus 25 minutes. We'll work all the items for the L clock.
LC Peony on 1.
Go, Penny.
Following our SC8 offset test, I can report that CBC helium bottles are at flight pressure. Step 790.
Roger. And for our personnel, this is LC. All steps prior to the hold are now complete. Next open step is Operation 50, Step 1070.
The NRO is a joint organization engaged in the research and development, acquisition, launch, and operation of innovative overhead reconnaissance systems necessary to meet the needs of the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. The NRO is recognized for its transformational intelligence collection systems that are used to develop highly accurate military targeting data, support international peacekeeping and humanitarian relief operations, and to assess the impact of natural disasters. The art for today's mission depicts a classic battle between good and evil and represents the NRO's dedication to mission, military expertise, and camaraderie. The Latin phrase means, "Evil will never prevail," signifying NRO's commitment to national security. Yesterday, I had a chance to catch up with Kara Parks. Kara is a systems test engineer at United Launch Alliance. Let's take a look. Kara, thanks for joining me. So you're a systems test engineer. In that role, what are your day-to-day responsibilities and tasks?
So as a systems test engineer, you get to do a variety of things. You get to process and also perform tests on the rocket to make sure that everything goes as planned when launch day comes around. I'm also a part of the propulsion team and the rotational team here at ULA. So that means that I get to work with all of our different propellants between different hypergoals, hydrogen, liquid oxygen, really cool stuff. And